Hey guys, Lizardlea here for 4 Heavenly Beasts, day 74. That is the progress from day 73. Lots of pinks and reds. I'll probably continue those. Not sure though. We'll see. I wanted to cross stitch yesterday, but my eyes were bothering me so bad that I was like, nope, I'm not doing that to myself. Feeling better today, so here's hoping. I'm continuing Yumi and the Nightmare Painter by Brandon Sanderson, which I am enjoying. I don't really have anything else to talk about other than daylight savings sucks. Like, I woke up this morning and there was no sunlight. And I was like, well, I can't cross stitch without the sun, so I'm just going to shower really, really early. And I feel like it affects my mood to not wake up with the sun, because it feels so much more natural for my body to be like, there's the sun, it's time to get up. And then, 2 minutes pass and then my alarm goes off and I'm like, yep, time to get up. Like, but now it's like it takes, almost an hour after I wake up for the sun to come out. And I know, like, based on my skin tone, you'd think I don't like the sun. And it's true, I don't. I avoid the sun at all costs. But I don't know, like, I need it. I need the sun. I can't cross stitch without it. And also, I feel tired without it. It feels like it's time to go to sleep when the sun is not out. Okay, I'm done rambling. I'm gonna go cross stitch now.
Alright, so we've discussed Young Justice before. I want to say we did, seasons 1 through 3?
1 through 2.
Oh, and right now, the recent run, we did 3 and 4?
Yes, because that was me, because I got stuck on season 3 and couldn't make it through without you, because I just feel that there's a stretch there that is... Ugh.
I do have to agree and back him up on that, like... I don't know, when anything tries to be, like, woke and stuff like that, it's cringy.
I want to be even clear that it's not just woke. It's also like, hey, fellow kids, and all of it. It feels...
Yeah, they made Beast Boy, like an Instagram star.
Yeah,
he's like,
or a...
No.
a Twitter star or whatever.
Yeah, or
an
whatever.
influencer, there's the word.
Yeah.
And
but when he started and he was an actor, that was great. But then it went down the route of, like, just influencer, and it's embarrassing to watch. I don't know. Like,
yeah,
it's not necessarily secondhand embarrassment, because in my mind, at least, secondhand embarrassment means the character is embarrassed. Because Beast Boy wasn't embarrassed, but I was.
Yeah, it just, oh man, oof. So to kind of give some context on this, we watched seasons 1 and 2, and, like, for people who don't know, this was a show that kind of replaced Teen Titans, and, like, this is, like, a show that a lot of people really like, and it's got a cool mix of things going on, and they actually kind of time skipped it, and people got to grow up, and yada yada yada. And then it just got hard canceled at, like, a massive, like, this is a really cool moment. Like, we've set up a very big plot point, and it had some really good writing and some really clever plots. And so it was just dead. And then it got revived kind of out of nowhere, I want to say around 2020, or no, it must have been like 2016, 2017. I don't know. My dates are probably all wrong, but it got revived. And so it was like, oh, cool, it's finally back on. And I remember watching a few episodes and just being like, because I was watching them at night when Liz was asleep, and I was like, well, I'll watch a bit and then see if it's worth her catching up. Because you loved it, of course, too. And, oh my God. I could not get through season 3. Like, I tried, I think, on 2 or 3 separate occasions and kept forgetting how far I'd gotten because I just didn't care. Like, I couldn't begin to care about so many things. So I was like, okay, this is dead forever. And then I found out it got to season 4. And I was like, oh, well, I'll watch, like, 3 or 4 episodes of season 4 and see how it was. And I was like, oh, this is actually pretty good. Like, it started out a little rough, and I was like, oh, God, here we go again. Am I going to... But then I was like, oh, they did something I did not expect, and it's getting its stride again, and yeah, this is, I can do this. And
stumbles a couple
so
times.
I told Liz, and I was like, yeah, you want to watch this? She's like, but you're on season 4. And I'm like, well, we'll just have to watch season 3. She's like, I don't remember what happened, so we rewatched the whole thing.
Yeah. Okay, I will say seasons 1 and 2 still hold up. They're still amazing. I enjoyed our rewatch.
Oh yeah.
Like, I highly recommend it. As somebody who's not a big fan of DC comics, like, their superheroes just aren't really there for me. Young Justice is really good and has some really enjoyable characters. And really good character development, too. Like,
Yeah.
let's see, just looking at the screen. Superboy? Really interesting arc, considering I don't like Superman.
He starts out a bit rough, as I think we all agreed.
Yeah, like, I mean, he starts off as the bad guy, essentially, and
then the mopey guy for
and
a
then
long
he's
time.
mopey, and then he starts dating McGann, that's her name. I was like, what the heck? It's not Martian Girl. And I loved them as a couple, for the most part. There were a couple times where I was really annoyed with both of them, but overall, they were a very, very cute couple. Artemis, the first time we watched, I didn't like her when we first met her, because, she has that pompous attitude, like, I'm better than you, and I hate that. On a rewatch, knowing where her character goes and exactly who she is, and that some of it is just her, like, grandstanding. She wants to be better. She has a family members who are bad guys. Like, she has some of her own stuff to work through. I much preferred her character on a rewatch, and I actually like her. And the couple she's in, I cried about. I'm not going to say who, because, again, cried. So if you know what that means, you know what that means. Moving along, Robin. I typically really like Robin, especially because growing up watching Teen Titans, I shipped him and Starfire so badly. But they don't have Starfire in this one, but they do have Robin, and I think they handled him really well. Like,
You hear that, Norman? They don't have Starfire. Norman, who's not watching this, who will probably never watch this, do you hear me? Across the time and space of internet, they don't have Starfire. I'm winning an argument that I already won.
If you want to share it with him, I guess you can.
It doesn't
I doubt
matter.
he'll watch it.
I just need it enshrined in, hard drives across time and space, so that, when some super AI or alien or whatever takes over, they can be like, I don't know who Norman was, but he was wrong.
But they do a really good job of making him, not always, but usually, like, the strategist of the team, of, like the Batman
Yeah.
archetype, which I appreciated. What?
Oh no, I also think I think it's worth mentioning it's Dick Grayson, right?
The one who becomes Nightwing.
yeah. And he starts young. And they did a good job with him being
The youngest one on the team, too.
the youngest and the cocky one, but also, like, again, they manage, especially in seasons 1 and 2, to touch on a lot of interesting little arcs that you would not expect, because it's like, oh, okay, I see the characters, I know where we're going with this. Like, Robin is basically not the leader for a large majority of it.
Mm-hmm.
And they have some really clever and well thought out reasons as to why that's the case. And it just, it was... I'll let you finish with your character thoughts and then I can dive into mine. But I just thought that was one of the more interesting ones for him.
Kid Flash, I loved. I really like Flash. He's usually a very fun character to me, and then Kid Flash is just adorable. Sometimes he's annoying because, like, he hits on all of the ladies, but it's not like to a Mineta level in My Hero. He's not disgusting. He's just annoying.
Yes.
Like, he's a gnat. Like, if you could, you'd just want to smack him and walk away. Versus Mineta, you want to kill him.
Well, yes.
Like, you want to end him because he's horrible.
Your displeasure with Mineta is,
Noted by everybody in existence?
Yeah, to be fair, you're not the only one.
No, I'm not. Most people will say Mineta if you ask who the grossest, or like, the most irritating, perverted character is. It's Mineta.
Yeah.
Because there's nothing else to him. There is more to Kid Flash than him just being into every pretty girl he sees.
Yes. They do a good job of actually making, it's the arc they should have done with Mineta. Because, it doesn't matter. So, Yeah, it's because the first 2 seasons is the first group, which is the ones we just talked about.
And Aqualad.
And Aqualad, yes.
And I would like to talk about Aqualad.
Okay, go ahead.
He was one of my favorites.
Sorry, I forgot you hadn't talked about Aqualad.
He's the one who is typically the leader of the team because he's the more level-headed, mature one. And he has really good plans. They're not always perfect. They don't always work out. And sometimes he does, listen to Robin. But that's why I like him. Like, he thinks things through.
Yeah.
He's not a hothead.
Yeah. He's very dispassionate in a good way-ish, but that's also kind of his problem, is like, he's the most mature by far, but obviously it's also the whole, like, well, you do have to have emotions, you can't just turn yourself into a robot.
Yeah.
That's Cyborg's job.
Screw you, I love Cyborg.
Yeah. Is he in
And
this
he's
season?
not in till, season 4?
Yeah.
Or, no, maybe season 3. I think he comes in at season 3 as a football player.
Well, yeah, he's
and
not
then season
Cyborg.
4 is when he's actually Cyborg.
Yeah.
I loved how they handled Cyborg. I really liked that.
Yeah, it was very well done. It's a neat... I don't know if that's the thing, is Cyborg is like one of their new rock stars, where just like he's in everything. Whenever they do Justice League or anything, he's kind of like Flash, where they make him the glue and the heart and everything. And I don't actually know what his original canon lore is, and if this is it, but I really do like what they did in this, because it works really, really well.
Oh yeah, I was very impressed with how they handled his character. Okay, did you want to do your spiel now?
Oh yeah, I was just gonna add that like they also make the villains very, very interesting, because I don't think it's the end of the it's not a huge spoiler to mention that one of the main villains is Vandal Savage. And I don't know if you know Vandal Savage, cross-stitch viewers, but
I do. How dare you?
Yeah, he's generally
immortal.
He's generally a Superman villain, isn't he? And he's immortal, but he's immortal and he's super strong, sort of, kind of. It's unclear how strong, but he's very much a chess master kind of villain. Where I thought 8 moves ahead. And they really use that well in this show once they start using it. Like, again, the first couple of episodes feel a little okay. It's like, this isn't bad, but oh wow, Superboy hates being Superboy and feels angry and angsty.
And Superman doesn't accept him.
Yeah.
Oh, he's angsty about that. Which that part I get.
No, that
but it was frustrating at times where it was like, we understand. Can you move on?
Yeah, it was not quite as elegantly done, and it felt kind of hammered home.
Yeah, it started out good, and then it just kept going on and on and on, and nothing changed. And it was just like, dude, all of these other people aren't being a crybaby.
And that's
granted, yes, their mentors actually care about them, but you're basically Superman. You don't need a mentor.
That is the other big thing, is that they're all air quotes sidekicks, but because Superboy, so the opening is pretty much them rescuing Superboy from Cadmus. They didn't know he existed. They found him. It's Robin and a few others, because they were supposed to finally be part of the Justice League, and then they find out, oh, you're not part of the real Justice League. You're just
You're Young Justice.
You're Young Justice, and you don't get to go on the super cool thing that we have hidden. So you've got Kid Flash, who's obviously Flashes, Aqualad, who's Aquaman, Robin, who's Batman. McGann is John Jones, or Martian Manhunter's cousin.
Niece?
Their families are weird because they're Martians, I think.
Yeah.
And you don't have the girl at the start. You have Speedy.
We don't have Artemis.
Yeah, we have Speedy briefly.
And that's Red Arrow.
Yeah,
or he becomes Red Arrow.
Yeah, he becomes Red Arrow. He's Green Arrow's sidekick.
Loved how they handled Red
Yes.
Arrow. He probably had the best through line story across all 4 seasons.
Also.
I don't remember who he gets with, but I believe you, enemies to lovers. Yeah, that is my favorite trope.
Yes.
But I just so he starts off as, he's a good guy. He wants to be part of the Justice League. And
but he also...
he gets denied, right?
Well, no, he gets upset because he's like, I'm a hero. I'm not a kid. I'm an adult. We're not just sidekicks. I should be a part of the Justice League, not your little PR stunt with children, And so when the rest of the team is like, hey, it's a step up. We need to take our time and earn our way up. He's like, no, I'm out. I'm going solo. Screw you guys.
Yeah.
And he's friends with the team, even though you don't like really see it. You're just told that. He doesn't.
Lex Luthor shows up.
Well, yeah. Well, no. For a while, he's just off on his own.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I don't know how much we want to spoil because I think it's a show.
That's season 1 and 2, and we've talked about seasons 1 and 2 before.
That's true, but I mean, fair enough. So yeah, he basically. Well, do you want to go into it then?
I mean, you're better at these things.
So we're gonna spoil the whole thing for him.
I mean, I really want to talk about
His deal.
Red Arrow at this point. So.
Yeah. Okay, so.
Like, if you want to know one of the better plot lines of the show in order to determine if you think it'll be worth it or not,
Yeah.
I really like Red Arrows.
So in season 1 and 2, you basically find out that the reason Red Arrow is so frustrated with not being able to get into the proper Justice League is because he's not the real Red Arrow. Lex Luthor, years before the start of the show, kidnapped the real Speedy and
put him in ice, right?
Well, we don't know at that time, but
Oh,
cloned him, and that's the Speedy that's been going around with Green Arrow this whole time. He thought he'd lost Speedy, but then he found him, and he's like, oh, thank God I saved you, and that's actually the clone. So they haven't been looking for the clone this entire time, and that's the real Red Arrow is like a sleeper agent, Manchurian Candidate style, where his whole drive is to get into the Justice League, because once he's in there, they're going to activate him as a sleeper agent, and he's going to betray them all, and he does. And then he realizes what he's done and immediately tries to undo it and fix it. And he has some justified concerns about the other real Speedy, that is he dead? Is he gone? Did Luthor just have him killed? And he spends a lot of time trying to find him, even at the cost of his relationship with his baby mama and daughter. And he eventually...
That's right, yeah.
Yeah, and then he does eventually find the real Red Arrow, who wakes up missing an arm and finds out he's been unconscious for years and has some justifiable anger about that.
Yeah, none of his friends recognized that was a clone and not him.
Yeah, and so he...
Nor his mentor.
Becomes another character who, again, I don't know if this is his normal backstory, but called Arsenal, and he is much more mercenary than the rest of them. He's like, screw being a hero, I'm out for me, and I'm going to blow stuff up, and he has some serious trauma. It's a really cool arc. And so that's that's pretty much season 1. Season 2 is Blue Beetle. Yeah, because season 2 is when we get Beetlemania. Like that, or that's part of season 2 as well, actually. But season 2 is when Beetle happens.
Yeah, I thought Red Arrow, we didn't learn he was the one we had, that the Speedy that we had was a clone until like season 2.
I think it's the end of season 1. That's the big reveal.
The big reveal.
Yeah.
And then
season 2
they don't find the clone missing an arm until what, the end of season 2?
No, I think it's pretty early in season 2. Because he's helping fight the Reach in season 2. Yeah.
Well, he's much older in season 4.
Tim Curry does a voice in this show for seasons 1 and 2, and unfortunately, couldn't continue for seasons 3 and 4, but Tim Curry voice continued.
Newscaster, he's
Yes.
amazing. I don't remember what
Red
I was gonna
Arrow,
say.
season 1, season 2.
All of the clones and the original in season 4 were probably the best part about season 4 because they were hilarious.
Yes.
The group of them, perfection.
There's a literal group of characters who at this point are all like basically clones of Speedy, and on top of it, like whether it's canonized or not, they're all voiced by the same voice actor. So they have an episode where he plays the entire cast all at once, and they go on an adventure with Robin, so the guy can get some break. And yeah, it's
hilarious.
Because one of them has just started a security company, and it's just like perfectly normal stuff. But some guy tries to rob a truck, and he has 4 superheroes in their alter egos,
in
race,
the truck with him.
yeah, chasing after the guy. It's like, I don't know what I did, but this is not normal security. But yeah, it's when the show's funny, it's really, really funny, and when it's well written, it's really well written. I will straight say that season 3 is weak because it feels like it's pandering.
Yeah.
It was in the middle. That's why I'm like guessing it had to be around 2016 because it was when we were at the height of that stuff. And I don't mind that there's a non-binary character. I don't mind that there's like more focus on gay characters or any of that. It's just that the way they do it, was it 2010?
That's apparently when it first
Oh, yeah,
came
that's when
out.
it started, yeah. Season 3, 2019.
Yeah, oh, yeah.
Yeah. It just... It
They have to, like, it's
sacrifices...
like they're spoon-feeding the audience.
Yeah, or shoving it down your throat, or more
Yeah.
importantly, like, they literally sacrificed the writing and the pacing of the show, because it took me a while for it to click. Where, like, in season 1, they might have an A plot, B, they'll do A and B plots, like group 1's dealing with this, group 2's dealing with that. In season 2, they jam in like an A, B, a C, and a D plot that are all diversity plots. And it's like, if you wanted to do these, that's fine, but spend the proper time on them.
I'd rather spread them out and just have your normal A and B plot, because then you can actually get to enjoy them and get to know these characters.
Don't just jam it in. Don't just jam 5 different, like, oh, well, this one's having trouble with her religion and her gender, and this one's having trouble with her parents, and this one's having trouble with, like...
They're all interesting ideas.
But they are covered well.
But when you only put, like, 10 minutes on it doesn't feel like a real person.
It feels like they're checking check boxes.
Yeah, it's
it
frustrating.
And like, there's some okay stuff in season 3, but between that and then the, like, Beast Boy is depressed / is an Instagram influencer, it just feels written by committee and...
pander to the young audience.
Yeah, and, like, again, like, plenty of shows are allowed to do that, like, God knows. It's just that it's a shame, because it's like, wow, this is really clever. They've taken their time to write the story and plot it out, and this felt much more like, well, what's in the news? What do people care about? We'll make this episode about that. And it's like, that's not a planned out plot as much as it is just, I don't know, like, just trying to, comment on current events. And, like, again, comics are great for that. Just take your time and do it right.
Yeah, exactly.
Which is, again, I feel like kind of where they got back to in season 4, where they decided, like, oh, we should maybe actually have overarching plots and not just jam side plots down people's throats every 5 minutes. And it gets a lot better again. I really enjoyed season 4. I don't know if you... I thought you did, yeah.
Like, a big part of that...
To be fair, season 3 doesn't introduce one of Liz's favorite characters.
Bug with 2 G's. Was that mainly
Forager. He starts in season 3.
Forager, right. Well, he's like, my name is Fred Bug with 2 G's.
Yes.
I love him.
Yes.
He is my precious cinnamon roll that must be protected at all costs.
Liz has a type.
He's so cute, and
I'm
he's
amazed
so sweet.
he's still alive.
Like, honestly, me too. Because as soon as they introduced him, like, almost as immediately, I was like, David, he's my favorite character now. And you were just like, oh no, he's gonna die. And I was like, no! And then he made it to the end of the show so far, at least. And he's even got a girlfriend. Like, I love him.
Yes, Forager
Forager.
Forager has spent way too much time. What was it like not being forward? It's like, you met her a week ago, because their lifespans are different. The show is very clever when it wants to be, and it often wants to be. So that's why it was so frustrating for season 3 to see huge parts of it just kind of fall flat. There's a lot of really cool, like, they're traditional comic cliches and arcs of like, oh, we're going to do this plot or this plot, but they're executed quite well. And I think the only thing that's the other thing that's especially weird about season 3 is it's trying to, like, again, because it's trying to comment on, like, current events in some ways and handle other things, it's also like, oh, well, we're cool and you shouldn't do this and you shouldn't do that, said the secret special task force superhero kids team designed to go, destabilize enemy governments. Like, it feels weird. But enough about season 3. We watched season 4. That was the main point of it all.
Was that Tara? Who was the main
that's season 3, isn't it?
That is season 3? I don't remember. That's why I'm asking.
Season 4 starts with, like, a big spoilerish event. That's why I'm a little bit hesitant. I don't know if you want to pull up on the wiki what the other plot points are, because I can't remember which parts are of the B plots.
I know they got, Static Shock. And I remember catching that show every once in a while on AFN, and I freaking loved it.
Like, that's right. Season 4 deals with, like, one of the big trauma events from season 2. And, like, again, it handles trauma very seriously and very well. Because, like, a lot of people go through very serious trauma, and they're not screwing around with it. Like, one character has to give up her dad pretty much every day, except for one day of the year. Yep.
Yeah.
One character, like several characters die, and the trauma of that is like treated very seriously, especially when things are less certain about if they're actually dead. Given like what happened with Speedy, but there's some other ones where it's like, that's concerning. Like there's a lot of like therapy stuff that's done well, which again, given that like season 3 was so in your face and like, oh, we should not always feel sad, or feeling sad's okay. Like they do much more nuanced takes on this stuff while also having really cool like fight scenes and family things. And oh yeah, that's what it was. Yeah,
He's my favorite.
Yeah, Liz
and his kitty.
Yeah, and his kitty. Well, his new kitty.
You shut up.
I'm
How dare
gonna
you
get in
remind
trouble.
me about that?
Tickle.
Tickle.
Yeah, there's a
The bad guy.
Clarion, the Lord of Chaos.
He is spectacular.
He has some really great lines.
Like, any
Storyteller.
fight he's in is amazing. Like, because he Lord of Chaos, like everything, he just pulls out all these crazy things and crazy things start happening. And then he has a little kitten that turns into this huge ferocious cat or like tiger or whatever, and it's awesome.
It's his anchor.
Mm-hmm.
Because it's
Eagle.
what keeps him on the plane.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So yeah, it's God, that's right. I forgot about that. Liz can pick him like a freaking laser.
It's true.
It really is. But yeah, season 4 felt like a really good season and a recovery of the mess that was season 3. When they do episodes about like difficult stuff, like there's a character who has a kid who's clearly autistic. It does still feel very like, okay, this was a pretty like I already figured out what the
surprises?
motif is.
Oh, okay.
Because she happens to meet another character who is basically autistic, and this one's an adult and a superhero, and ergo, it's all about how her not liking him, and then, oh wait, I may be a bad mother. No, you're not a bad mother. You're just struggling. And you need to understand your kid, and yada yada yada. It's a very cliche thing, but that was the moment where I realized that that's what bugged me about season 3, because they give a whole episode to do this plot. Even though it's not my favorite plot of the whole thing, it feels much more natural and better paced because they're not squeezing it in with 8 others.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I especially liked that one because you'll have to tell me if I'm remembering this wrong. Isn't she the one who can become really, really tiny and like she messed with it?
No, we got that confused because we thought it was her and it's not. That's the Force
So it was
Bubble girl.
it was somebody else who
Yeah.
like changed the DNA of the child, and
Yeah.
that's why she blames herself for the kid being autistic.
I
Because
think.
she was like, oh, we want our baby to be really strong and all these other things, so she messed with the DNA.
I forget where all that lands is the short answer. It might be
Yeah.
the same character, it might not.
Yeah,
I don't remember because there's 2 people it could be,
Mhm.
and I don't remember which one it is.
I just remember being like, especially now, like there's so many people who are like, oh, autism is caused by vaccines and all this other crap, and it's like, no, it's so ridiculous.
Yeah.
But the idea that, literally going in and messing with someone's DNA could change so many different things. Like, because the kid is really strong, right? Or not? I don't remember.
The kid that I'm thinking of in the episode I'm thinking of is a normal kid except for the fact that he's autistic.
Autistic.
Yeah, and like very clearly so, not these self-diagnosed autists or something, but like, he struggles and, definitely has different priorities, let's say. And yeah, that's the strong kid's someone else.
Oh, okay.
Well,
I just by the end of that episode, like, she has a much better outlook about her son's life and his future.
right, correct.
And it's just like, yeah, that's
Yeah.
what it takes is knowledge, understanding.
And sometimes like coming to terms with the fact that you just weren't getting it, and
Yeah, like I misunderstood or I didn't understand. Yeah.
And that was again very elegant, poignant message and a good way to do it.
Mm-hmm.
Compared to 3, where it was just like, oh, look, stories. Here's this. Here's that. Here's this.
These aren't the kind of subjects that I think you should just speed through. I think it's ones you do need to take your time on, and
And it's also worth mentioning that like this is not a problem of the week or a very special episode show by default. It managed to be good in seasons 1 and 2 because it did a decent job of tackling a lot of different problems, but elegantly, and also having really interesting stories, really interesting writing, really believable characters, and from all walks of life and all different things, yeah, these are the different things they might be dealing with, or the different personalities, but it didn't feel like, Seventh Heaven, where it's like, today's problem is Jimmy smoked the reefer. And so when it does it well, it's really, really nice. Is every episode a banger? God.
Absolutely not.
But a lot of them are really good, and so much of it is above par that's why that one season felt weak, and why it was so nice to get back to things are good again. And are they making a season 5? Do you want to check while we're rambling about it?
It looked like people are discussing a potential season 5. It doesn't look like it's confirmed.
So I'm seeing...
But we're not canceled.
Yeah,
just
it
3
seems
months
like it's
ago.
in limbo, which is classic, we'll see.
Yeah,
I
October
believe-
24, we're not canceled.
Yeah, and it's a shame because, once again, DC beat Marvel to doing what Marvel did, but they did it in their animated world, where Teen Titans and the animated movies and Justice League and Justice League Unlimited and Young Justice all did really good jobs of doing large casts of characters, lots of interesting stories on them. Then Marvel kind of caught up with Netflix with Daredevil and Jessica Jones and the other stuff that you need to watch. And then Marvel blew up with but what if we did this on the big screen? And DC was like, we have to do that too, and learned nothing from their animated world, which was so frustrating because even now, yes, Young Justice, on average, does it really, really well. Lots of characters, lots of interesting plots, lots of interesting ideas.
All of the movies you've had me watch for DC, the animated movies,
Yeah.
I've liked all of them except for one, and I fell asleep during that one. It was the Batman one where they had Jensen Ackles as a
We
Batman.
both fell asleep during that one.
Okay, but I fell asleep first.
Did you?
Yes.
Are you sure?
Yes.
I don't think so.
I did.
I doubt
Because
it.
I was like, what the heck is happening? The last thing I remember was they were in the Arctic, and you were like, what? No, they left that. And I was just like, what are you talking about?
Yeah, that's because I woke up before you.
It put me to sleep for a while.
This
you
is
guys.
Gotham by Gaslight for anyone who's wondering. The other
And
later
I
stuff.
love
hasn't been
Jensen Ackles. That man can act. He can do voice acting. He's really good. But it was not there.
Their Teen Titans movie was also not the original Teen Titans, but they're they did another Teen Titans movie, but now it's got
When they're
Damian.
older, right?
No, they've got Damian Wayne and
Boo.
Yeah.
Damian Wayne.
Damian is-
He's the most frustrating of the Robins.
Well,
He's just annoying.
he's written poorly, which is frustrating
Yeah.
because he always gets the same arc, which is an interesting arc. Hey Batman, one, you have a kid with guess who? For the record, I feel like more shows, if they're going to do the humor, really need to have scenes where, heroes are telling the younger superheroes or other heroes, you can't go with the supervillainess. That would be against the moral code. And Batman needs to sit there and be quiet because he's got at least 2 in his roster. And he's got a kid with one of them. So he can't throw stones in his glass house.
Who's Damian's mom?
Talia.
Okay, I was going to say, was it the Al Ghul?
Yeah, Talia al Ghul.
Or...
And Catwoman at the very least. And I
Love him
think
and
I'm forgetting
Catwoman.
1 or 2 others, but it doesn't matter. So point is that, Damian's always the little snot-nosed brat who thinks he's better than everybody because he's been raised by his mom to be a world-class assassin.
And his dad is Batman,
Yeah.
who's one of the smartest people alive.
And he's a weird mix of teenage angst self-insert, which, I get it. I was a teenager. And I'm right and all the adults are wrong. And I'm just so cool. Nothing personal, kid. Pulls sword. There's nothing wrong with cashing in on that. But then they sometimes try to make him a little bit deeper where it's you need to learn who you actually are and are you going to just be that? And then
But
they
he
just
regresses.
Yeah, and then they just kind of reset him for the next time. And they have him, they shove him down everyone's throat for quite a while, and they have him replace other Robins, other characters, and constantly do things with him. In fact, the recent season of Harley that I watched, they had him finally be an interesting character, but it's only because that episode happens to literally reference the old Teen Titans show. And it's basically implied that he was a part of it, even though he shouldn't be. and it's all happened off screen. And they have Nightwing show up dressed as Red X, which was a hilarious callback. Yeah, ready to kill Harley. It's a whole fun thing.
I love Nightwing.
But yeah, and it, like he felt like a kind of interesting character there because he even in that show he's actually kind of the same thing where they, as a joke, you know, really went to town on just how obnoxious and completely ridiculous he is. But then that joke kept going and it got old, and so they finally changed the joke with him, which is now it's just that Talia does not understand. Like, you know, he's like 13, 14, he's like, she got me a rattle for my birthday? It's like, well, that's pretty bad, especially because my birthday's in 6 months. Like, it's just like, but yeah, point is, Damian Wayne could be good, but he's not a part of this, so you don't have to worry about it. Or is he? Is he in season 4? I don't think he is.
Didn't Tim join at some point? Because
Yeah.
Nightwing actually
He's Nightwing.
moves on.
Yeah, and
He's
we have Tim,
Nightwing,
yeah.
And then Tim comes in.
Yeah.
Damian's later.
Yeah.
Even in like normal plot lines, isn't he?
Yeah, I think he is, and I don't think we're in a Damian world with them. I don't know. I don't
Yeah,
care.
it is.
If they do it, I would like to see them do it because I think they could do it well. I
And
think
it's
they
the
could.
them that's not season 3.
Well, yeah. But you know, I think they could really handle that plot line well. It's a
And
plot
make
line
it
that's got a
very
lot of
interesting.
interesting stuff.
Yeah.
Like, yes, we're doing the standard edgelord teenager with powers self-insert, but let's, you know, if they're gonna, for whatever reason, they constantly pair him with Raven or whatever, fine, do that, have the emo crowd, but like, make things happen for these characters. Don't just let them revel in their worst traits.
See, that's why I really liked Raven with Beast Boy in the original Teen Titans, because he's a cinnamon roll, she's an angsty, you know, could destroy the world person, and they're perfect for each other.
I see.
But
So am I the angsty one or the cinnamon roll?
I don't think you're the angsty one or the cinnamon roll, and I don't think I'm the cinnamon roll or the angsty one.
I think I'm closer to being able to destroy the earth.
So you think you're more of the angsty one than me?
I mean, by the conditions you've given.
The conditions I've given?
You just explained that they're perfect for each other because one's the angsty can destroy the earth one and one's the cinnamon roll. So.
Am I a cinnamon roll? That might make me a cannibal because I really like cinnamon rolls.
Well, on that note, folks, thanks for tuning in. We got there to cannibalism. I know you thought this was going to be a chill one, but there we are. Have a good one.
Bye!
And that is the end of 4 Heavenly Beasts, day 74. I got 3 hours and 26 minutes of footage. My eyes they're bothering me. But I finished like 3 or 4 colors, so.
Ghost husband.
He's not dressed, so he can't come onto the camera right now.
I'm quasi.
Although your feet are on the camera. Get them off. Move your foot. No.
No.
Off! I feel like I need to restart this because I definitely blew the speakers of that microphone when I shouted at you. So yeah, the Phoenix is coming along. I don't have a ton left on that page, so soon enough we will finally be on a new page. But first I will be doing the really, really dark parts here, and the camera really hates that, so yay. Yeah. I don't have anything else. Do you have anything to add?
Ghost husband.
Honestly, I'm glad he didn't just say 1 + 1 is 2. Like, subscribe, share, comment, all that jazz. And I'll see you guys in the next video.